I'd love to learn a little bit more about Convoy as a marketplace. If you could kind of give us a high-level overview of it, and then maybe mention a little bit, more specifically what you were working on there.
Yeah. So for those that aren't aware, Convoy is a freight tech marketplace, tech-enabled marketplace to move really goods long haul, so semi trucks over the road, right? And focused on that middle mile. So a lot of like interplant moves, right, from plant A to plant B, or from a distribution center to a retail store when there's like a truckload of freight to move. But that's the space we operated in, which is like, $800 billion in the US alone. That figure keeps changing, but like massive number is a point, and a really complex, an old school business, really, and fragmented as well, which makes it really prime for a marketplace, right? You have 90% of truckers that are mom and pop truck shop owners, own 1 to 5 trucks. And then you have just a huge fragmentation of businesses that need to move goods, right? And this was an industry that's really old school and, operated on Excel and sheets and phone calls and relationships, all good things, but like really prime for disruption. And I found, as I'm sure all of you have, is when you see that fragmentation in a really like complex and overlooked industry, like for me, that's always like a huge like waving flag, like go do something there. It'll be extremely challenging, but the opportunity will be massive. And that's what Convoy is. And we'd connect basically shippers like Anheuser-Busch, or even like smaller, e-commerce retailers and the likes, to the trucking capacity on the other side, on the supply side, right? And really that long tail of trucking capacity that otherwise wouldn't get access to all this freight, and build the marketplace to sort of operate that business. So that was Convoy. So I joined on the market. The name changed like 3 times, but their growth team, right? Which was and I joined on that first iteration of the growth team. And really our focus at the time, it was 10 to 15 of us. And our focus was, can we really, this was like one of those, cross-functional growth teams that you hear about from Facebook early days, Uber early days, that kind of growth team where you have a mix of functions and backgrounds and skills that come together to really like incubate, rapidly iterate, and like solve problems for our customers so we can build that next growth opportunity for the business, right? So that's what we did. And we really, every business we have now, we spun up through that small group of 10 to 15 folks who then split off and started leading all those businesses as they scaled up, right? And I focused mostly on new market expansion. So I started with launching new geographies before we were a nationwide network. So I joined pre us being a nationwide network, and then launched the Southeast region, which was one of our major regions yet to be launched. Got that off the ground. And really the model was you go through that 0 to 1 phase, set it up to scale within the organization, and then flip it, right? So that's sort of what I did, and then ensure that it could be part of the core function of the organization, and moved on. The second thing I did was I launched our second truck type. So you have different types of truck types. You have dry vans that are just your normal semi trucks. You have refrigerated trucks, which are like to move frozen goods, ice cream, food, that kind of thing. And you have flatbeds for like construction, all that kind of stuff. So that second truck type, which is the second largest in the market too, launched that for Convoy, got that off the ground again, 0 to 1, flipped it back. And so that was a lot of what I did. And then as you do at startups, I just get pulled into like helicopter into situations that needed help, really add structure to the chaos and then move on. Like that was a lot of what I did, which I really enjoyed because I'm easily bored, and that just, kept things exciting for me. And then at the very tail end, I was asked to like this was interesting, and I don't know how in depth you want to get into it, Mike, but this was like at the start of COVID. We were in an interesting situation at Convoy where we were really exposed to what was to come as COVID hit, right? In that, like, there's two types of revenue lines in freight, right? You have contract business where you lock in annual prices and contracts with shippers. Like, I work with Procter and Gamble, lock in a 1-year contract that will do 20,000 loads on all these routes across the country at some fixed price, right? And then you have a dynamic revenue business, which is like really free market, right? Last minute spot auctions to service the freight. And we were 90% contract revenue. And that left us really exposed, because what that meant was our price from the shipper, what they paid us was fixed, while the market was going crazy and the cost from truckers that we were paying out to truckers was going through the roof. So all our contracts were in the red. And, we were potentially on a path to destruction where we would just burn away all our money if we couldn't figure out a solution in the next 6 to 9 months, right? So I was asked to then helicopter into figuring out, okay, how do we grow that dynamic revenue business? Because then it's dynamic on both sides, and we could really help hedge the risk on the contract side and balance our portfolio, which would be good, like really a risk hedged portfolio, like you think about financial portfolios too, into the future as well, right? You have some fixed commodities and types of assets in your portfolio, and then some more volatile dynamic assets, and it helps hedge the risk. And that's how we were thinking about it. And I led that, and was fortunate enough to have the right team and be successful at the right time, where we grew that business from 10% of our revenue to over 60%. And before I left, I was running the largest business at Convoy, which is just bizarre, and grew it, 2-3x within the year, grew profitability 5x within the year, and thankfully we didn't go out of business. So it was just a much healthier than path for Convoy moving forward, and that was an incredibly challenging but rewarding year as well.